Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest, Allana Pratt. And she's here today to share with us her new book, Finding the One is Bullshit, Becoming the One is Brilliant and Beautiful. Now, are you tired of looking for that one person? Intimacy expert Allana is a go-to authority for those who have suffered heartbreak and are ready to live unapologetically and attract an open-hearted ideal relationship. A certified coach with nearly 5 million viewers on YouTube, Allana offers private, group, and online coaching programs for singles and couples to help her clients develop a healthy, intimate relationship with themselves first, which naturally attracts and enhances their ideal partnership. This Ivy League grad is the author of 6 books and hosts the edgy podcast Intimate Conversations. She's been chosen as the icon of influence and as a columnist for the Good Men Project and has been featured on the Huffington Post, People Magazine, Forbes, CBS, and many more. So let's welcome to the show, Allana Pratt.
Marianne, thank you. You are the only one that's actually said bullshit. Most people say BS, so you're very brave. I like
it. Well, do you know, you got to call it what you call it, right? So what inspired you to write this book?
Oh, Marianne, I was such a hot mess. I was so insecure as a young woman, still had never dealt with my daddy issues, seeking approval from my first husband and then seeking approval from my second husband. And I realized the only one in common was me. And so when I looked inside, I really didn't like who I found. Like, I'm an Ivy League grad. I'm smart. I was a model. Like, I should have it all together. Judgment, right? I didn't like that inside there was still an insecure little girl who wanted daddy's presence, his attention, his love. And I was still seeking my approval in the attention and approval of others. And so I had it that I would be enough. I would be complete. I would be, good enough once I'd found the one. And so when you date from empty, you meet somebody else who's also empty and hasn't done their work either. And it's that Jerry Maguire thing, like, you complete me. And there's a lot of chemistry in the beginning, but then it blows up in your face. And so I looked inside and I decided to heal my little one inside and give her compassion and understanding and really reparent myself, so that I could approve of myself, appreciate myself, honor myself, respect myself. And that's what I call becoming the one who's brilliant and beautiful on the inside first, and not perfect, because I'm always a work in progress. So it doesn't mean that I've got it all figured out at all. I'm a student of life. And yet I've come to peace with my wobbly parts. I don't need to be embarrassed by my humanity. I don't need to justify when I'm scared. I'm okay to be me. And so I call that becoming the one. And with me and my clients, I find that when we do the inner work first to become the one, we find an ideal one on the outside who also does their work. And that leads to a really healthy relationship.
My goodness, what a realization, because there's so many of us. I mean, I'm guilty doing the same thing, where we're kind of looking for approval in all the wrong places. And part of it, I think a lot of times people don't even know that they're doing this, that they're kind of going around and then wondering why they're going from one bad relationship to another.
It's really funny. You said that right before getting on. I was checking my Instagram, and a woman that I've spoken to about coaching, but she decided not to move forward, is still attracting men that use her, is still attracting men that ghost her, is still being used. And there was a quote that I put out, and she said, yes, but even when I love with all my heart, they still leave me. And I responded politely, maybe it's time to do the work, my love, because whenever we're ghosted on the outside, on some level, we're ghosting ourselves on the inside. Whenever we attract emotionally unavailable partners on the outside, the question to ask is, where am I emotionally unavailable to myself? And it takes bravery, and it takes commitment, and it takes humility. And quite often it takes a fabulous coach or therapist or someone to really help us sit in the fire and breathe when it gets intense.
What I really appreciate about this book is that you've been through it and come out the other side. So a lot of times you'll have people who, I see therapists that they're really good and they talk about certain things, but maybe they haven't really experienced going through the entire process. And I am pretty sound in my belief that, you can't really take somebody where you haven't been, So it's important to have a coach that knows how to go through this process, what to look for in the pitfalls, I would think.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And also, I think it gives this sense of vulnerability and safety, like psychological safety, where the coach isn't any better than you, just a few steps ahead. And so you're on equal playing ground of respect and honor. So you don't have to feel embarrassed or humiliated as you share your crazy behaviors of the past. And you have a good laugh about it and a good cry about it. And yes, thank you. I am on the other side. It is possible. I'm no better than anyone else. I had to have a coach too. I didn't get through on my own. And so even though I have a thriving business and I have certified my own Allana Pratt method coaches as well, I still have 3 coaches plus an energy worker coach because I require someone seeing my blind spot. I can't see mine any more than you can see yours or anyone can see theirs. That's the beauty of being in these beautiful partnerships where you open your heart and you get vulnerable and you go to the core and you do the work and you grow and you evolve and you look back and someone didn't do it for you. Someone didn't give you a fish. Someone taught you to fish so you can repeat this and have a sustainable, healthy relationship.
So you touched on something I'd love for you to expand on. You talked about blind spot. So what are those and how do we even become aware of them if they're blind spots?
Right? So the way I go about it is someone will come to me or my intimacy success advisor when people are interested in working with me and they go, there's no good men. All men, blah, 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 or all women are gold diggers or whatever their challenges. And that's an authentic challenge or an authentic piece of frustration. So we acknowledge that. We acknowledge their reality. And then we ask this really crazy question. What do you love about that? And they're like, nothing. What do you mean? All men are just treat me like a piece of meat. And I go, what do you love about that? Nothing. I go, well, let's have a little look. If you go deeper and you keep blaming men, you don't ever have to become vulnerable again. You never have to risk being hurt again. You never have to fall in love with your body as a sacred divine temple. You just get to stay on the surface blaming men. So is it possible that the blind spot is your own fear about opening up again and your own unwillingness to heal that wounded part of you that needs your love that you've been ignoring while you just get mad at men? So that's an example of what a blind spot would be for a woman. And generally when I say that, she starts to cry. And I say, it's okay, I got you. It's the same for all of us. We don't want to go in the closet and look at the skeleton. We don't want to go find the little you inside that needs our approval, our attention, our validation, our acknowledgement. It's hard. I didn't even know, Marianne, I had an inside. I was just spinning so fast on the outside, trying to be good enough and look good and be a people pleaser. I had no idea I even had an inside. And so with the gentleman, and they're blaming women for this or that, or my wife never has sex with me or what have you. And I say, what do you love about that? Nothing. I want sex. I go, well, but what do you love about complaining that it's all her fault? And then we get to the place where he's like, oh, I don't want to risk being rejected sexually again. It's just, emasculating. I don't want to deal with, well, maybe I'm not the best lover and I don't know how to please her or I feel insecure if she wants to try something new. So I'm just going to keep blaming her that she never wants sex. And when I get to the inner place, he's like, yeah, I'm not feeling like a man anymore. So those are the deeper, really owie moments that take great bravery and a coach that doesn't judge, that loves unconditionally, so we can get out of that top level blame and underneath to the blind spot and really do the work to heal the the shame, the anger, the sadness, the guilt.
So with that shame, anger, sadness, and guilt, are those the things that most people never want to face?
Of course, would you? I don't like it.
It's uncomfortable. It's real uncomfortable.
It really is. And yet here we are asking for someone to love us unconditionally when we don't even love ourselves unconditionally. Like, I don't love the part of me that's shameful. I don't love the part of me that's angry. I don't love the part of me that's scared, but I love the part of me that has lots of Facebook likes and wrote another book. Come on. If we can learn to love ourselves unconditionally, that's an actual vibration. It's an actual way of being. It will attract a like partner who also doesn't judge themselves and won't judge you. And I had no idea this was actually going on. It was a unconscious competence I had, Marianne. There was this workshop I went to. It was kind of crazy. A bunch of women were asked to get on the stage, and the group in the audience was both men and women. And they asked the women to close the eyes for a second. And they said to the men, okay, I want you to vote on who you'd like to have sex with. And then another vote, who would you like to spend 20 years on a desert island with? Because they would keep you on purpose. Kind of two different energies about the feminine, right? One more bow.
Oh, yeah.
One more bow, chicka bow, bow. And the other one more like this divine sort of feminine energy. And something very crazy happened. I got voted in both categories. And apparently this had never happened in this series of workshops before. And it was a real moment for me not to let my ego get in the way and just stay present, vulnerable, and curious. And what we learned through asking questions to the audience was that the reason why the men wanted to have sex with me, because the other one that won, she was like 20, big boobs, short skirt, super hot. I was like jeans, big sweater, big hoop earrings. I wasn't like what you'd think someone would want to have sex with. But the men said they could feel, this is crazy. Here we are thinking men are nowhere near as emotionally aware or intuitive as women are. That's wrong. The men said they could feel that I was having pleasure in my body for my own sake. I wasn't using my sexuality to try to get a man or compete with other women. I was just having pleasure being a woman, and they wanted in. Wow, what an insight. Because men don't want to be manipulated any more than women want to be manipulated. And maybe they are willing to be manipulated just to have some sex, but it's not like that really turns them on on a soul level. So that was one piece that I learned. And the other piece that I learned that goes back to this shame, anger, guilt place that we were talking about is the reason why they voted for me on the 20 years on a desert island, because I would hold them, accountable to their purpose. And in Marianne, it was a feeling. And when we dug in, it was because I have not cut my own ovaries off in judgment when I've messed up. I've learned to forgive myself and acknowledge that I did my best and have compassion and empathy that given how I was raised, given what happened, blah, 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 I did my best and I can choose again. And so that inner ability to have compassion is a vibration that men who are conscious can pick up on. And it makes them feel not only safe around us to do their best, because no one's perfect. Not every day is going to be a home run. What do they say? The Hall of Famers only do a home run 30% of the time. So you're going to come home 70% of the time having struck out. And so are you going to get judged and emasculated by your woman 70% of the time? I don't think anyone's going to sign up for that. And so this man could sense that on those days where he failed on the battlefield of life, that I wouldn't judge him. And that would make him feel like I was his queen, that he'd want to get back out there on the battlefield again and go for it. And men can feel this. So again, this all comes back to why I'm an intimacy expert. The inner always creates the outer. Our intimate relationship with ourself, when we can learn to unconditionally love ourselves, will make us an ideal partner and attract a partner who does his or her work as well.
Well, I so appreciate your book because on chapter 3, you talk about the one was me all along. And a lot of times people just don't appreciate who they are.
It's so boring for the ego just to go, well, okay, I love myself. I'm single. Or, okay, I love myself. My husband or wife's having a rough day. The ego doesn't like that. The ego wants to be right and win and look good and all that kind of stuff. But we are not egos. We are hearts. We are souls. We are spirit. And when you can really finally exhale and go, you know what? I'm not so bad. I actually love myself. There's a homecoming of fullness and oneness and confidence for no reason and joy for no reason. It's like, I'm just so grateful to be alive. I don't have to go through my journal and think of 10 things I'm grateful for, head down, chin, just in your mind. It's like an embodied experience of humbled gratitude that, oh my God, I get to be alive. I'm a conscious being of choice. I'm so, so blessed. And I think that's all our birthright to get to that place where we have become the one we've been looking for. And from that place, it's amazing how sexy you become because you don't need approval anymore. You don't need things to go a certain way. Of course, we have a lot of preferences, but we don't actually need anything to be okay, which means we can't be manipulated, which means, come on, life, what you got? What you got today? Let's have some fun. It allows you to start to dance with the mystery, and it's really sexy and it's fun to be, a lot more fun to be who you are.
It seems that you show up for life then in a more profound way because you're just enjoying what shows up as opposed to going, okay, I've got to lose 20 pounds, and you're kind of doing this thing where it's like, okay, don't really like my job, hate my boss, my partner's not getting along with me. You just are showing up.
Yeah, it's really a great point. And you don't want the kids to be abducted by aliens anymore. It's when you don't have this agenda and this strategy to try to control people or control life, you're actually a lot more fun to be around. Kids behave better. Husbands or wives are, in a good mood because you're not coming to the conversation with a chip on your shoulder with an attachment to the result. You're just present. You're just open. You're just able to be creative. You're able to be your best self, and you're able to speak your truth. And this is the other side of it. There's a lot of joy and freedom that comes, but there's also a lot of courage and bravery that arises. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm about to have that tough conversation, the first thing I need to move through is, oh God, are they going to reject me? Are they going to take away their love? Are they going to leave? And so sometimes I just won't say anything. That's more the old me. But since I do the work, and I continue to do the work to become the one that I've been seeking, and from fullness, I would prefer they not leave. I would prefer they not take their love away. But I'm going to not stuff away my truth and be fake or be a people pleaser, which only hurts myself, poisons myself, live in this world of inner toxin. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to learn to speak with kindness, but directly, like fierce love is one way to express it, or aggressive kindness is another way to express it. I'm going to sit in the fire and have those tough conversations and give myself and the other the experience that conflict isn't good or bad. It's uncomfortable, but it's not good or bad. And what if we could have conflict, or a disagreement, we could call it, and through speaking with an open heart and giving the other space to live their truth, speak their truth, no control, what if we could get stronger by the end of that conversation? What if we could have more respect and alignment and connection and honor by the end of that conversation? Because there was two brave people who didn't hit below the belt, who spoke their truth and looked for what else is possible. How else could we see this, do this, be together? So this could be a win-win for all. And my goodness, I've had some doozer conversations with my own coaches that I've trained, my clients, my friends, and we're all, the ones that are still in my life, we're all stronger because of it. We're all like, oh my God, we went to the mat. It was ugly. It was uncomfortable. It was messy. And we kept our heart open, and we are more in love with each other, honoring of each other. The bond is stronger because we sat in the fire and we rose like phoenixes out of the flames.
Do you feel that when people do that, and there are relationships that kind of fall aside, that those people aren't really meant to be in your experience because of the new you?
Yeah, it really comes back to science and a vibration. I don't believe anybody's better than another. However, I do believe some people are farther along the evolutionary train. So if you are up for growth and up for evolution and up for living at a higher vibration and dimension and a way of living with honor, and your partner, be that personal or professional or even parental, there are times when it's just best to let our kids do, I mean, not when they're little, but like when they're adults, adult children, like let them figure stuff out for a while. That's even okay. We don't have to make everything work all the time to be a perfect person. So if somebody isn't up for growth in this moment, they may never be. It might take 10 more lifetimes if you believe in that, or 10 more years. So it's not, you're not better than them if it doesn't work. And they're not worse than you. They're not a loser. They're just not ready to evolve into this next level yet. So it's a mismatch of vibration, a mismatch of commitments and priorities. And it's just best to bless them and release them rather than speak down upon them or become holier than thou. No, it's okay. There's too many people on the planet to be everybody's best friend, and grow and choose to be with people that see you, honor you, celebrate you, people that tell you the truth and don't, pity you, who really are there for you and will tell the truth, but will do it with kindness and care. We're totally a choice people. We're not victims of anything or anyone ever. And that's a big deal, to let go of being a victim and take the reins of your life. But I encourage you to do it because, wow, to feel that alive and empowered and to be in a community that sees you and honors you and you see and honor them, even if it's not your blood family, it's your created tribe. It's your birthright to create that. So go for
it. I really love how you use that perspective, because it puts it in such a nice way. No good, no bad, just we're no longer of the same vibration, and it's, time. I love how you just bless them and let's move on, because isn't that true? As we grow and evolve, things do change, and that's part of the expectation, I think, in a way.
It's very difficult to sit in the void of change. Like, you've had one employee and then you don't have a job and you're waiting for the next job. Or you've had one girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, and then you sit in the void waiting for the next one. Or you've had a friendship and the friendship has just dissolved and you're waiting to find that best friend again. The void is uncomfortable for a lot of us. And so we don't say goodbye when things are done. We stay too long. Or some relationships, they wait until one person has an affair so one person can blame the other and now they break up, as opposed to before. Why couldn't we have just been kind and brave and said, I love how far we've come. I'm just not feeling this connection that we require. We're just not going in the same direction anymore. And what love would do would be to honor you and set you free so you can be with someone that is exactly on the same page as you are and someone's exactly on the same page as I am. That conversation is hard. I get that. And yet to give yourself and the other the blessing of release is so kind, as opposed to waiting too long. And then when you get to that void stage in between relationships, personally or professionally, again, that's the opportunity to go within and to fall in love with yourself and to be comfortable in your own skin and be comfortable alone. I remember meeting, what was her name? The Brady Bunch lady, Florence Henderson. I just ran into her at this event and I asked her, I said, "Oh, I grew up with you. What would be your wisest advice for me? I work with men and women and I help them turn heartbreak into heart mates. That's the name of my dating app. And what would you say?" And she says, "You must fall in love with being alone." And I went, "Oh, that is awesome." And she was so wise. And that's an important part of our journeys. To the good of the void is it's an opportunity to become the one with yourself and also with the divine. Whatever your belief, God, the goddess, the divine, higher power, spirit, nature, if it's your more science, like the field, whatever word works for you. To me, it's all the same. To have oneness with yourself and the divine is a homecoming that so many of us put off, thinking that we're going to feel that way when we have a partner or that great job or enough money in the bank or a small ass, whatever it is. Yes, those are all lovely, great things, but nothing replaces home inside your heart.
That's so beautiful. My goodness. And what a great place to come from. I know in your book, you talk about the power of questions, and you've kind of kind of touched on it a little bit. I would love for you to expand on that for our listeners because I felt that that was such a powerful
Oh, thank
thing.
you. Yes. So I've been trained in what's called a dyad, and it's a two-way conversation. But the nuance is when you ask each other's questions back and forth, all you get to say in response is thank you. And thank you means I heard you and I understand. It does not mean I agree in the slightest a lot of times, but it creates this safe way to express yourself, knowing that you're not going to be judged or told you're wrong or any rebuttals or any of that. It's just thank you. It's incredible the level of vulnerability, transparency, connection, meaningful connection that happens. And I just began working with a new couple who have been dating for 5 years. They're engaged, but they're wise not to get married because right now all they do is fight. And so I have given them a 21-day dyad intimacy challenge where they need to be in these conversations. And the question sounds something like, tell me something you want me to understand that you think I may not understand. And one of the other rules I've given this particular couple, because they're fighting so much, is instead of saying, when you blah, 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 I ask them to use the word another. When another forgets to text me and I'm waiting and dinner's burning on the stove, it's different than when you didn't text me. And so it's been about 3 weeks, so 21 days, and they've been doing this daily, and they're transforming, Marianne, because they're finally getting what they've always wanted. Their ego wanted to be right and dominate and win, but their hearts have always just wanted to be understood. And in these dyads, all the other says is thank you. And they're being understood and heard over and over and over and over. And now it's been 3 weeks and the fighting is calming down and the heart is opening and they're seeing each other for the reason of why they fell in love in the first place. So yes, these powerful questions can change the trajectory of your relationship, and not just with your beloved. You can do these questions with yourself. You can rage at God and the goddess and have these conversations and figure out, why am I on the planet? You can have these conversations with your children. You can have these conversations with the important people in your work life. This is about how to create safety and connection everywhere.
My goodness, that's so important. And what an empowering place to come from. Most people never even get or even think that, they should be diving into questions about the other partner. And what a great example for people to really dive into the relationship in a more meaningful way.
You make a good point. I work with couples that even are doing well, but they want to be great. Let's say it's 20 years, the kids have left, and they're like, well, we love each other, but we're not really like in love. And they have it in their mind that they already know who each other is. And I go, okay, here's the deal. Communication is a two-way process. There's the communicator, that's part one, but the listener is part two. And if the listener isn't listening or thinks they already know or sort of zones off and isn't present or absolutely rejects them, that communication isn't complete. And that communication stays spinning in the speaker's mind, sometimes for decades. And so when couples, even who have known each other for 20 years, start doing these conversations, these dyads, maybe the first 10, 20 minutes of the conversation, it's just leftover content in the mind that was never heard without judgment. But then once it's all cleared away, there's a truth in the heart, in the soul that begins to arise that even surprises themselves. I never knew I felt this way. And then that gets communicated and heard without judgment. And they look at each other with fresh eyes. Oh my God, I never knew this about you. And they'd say, well, I never knew this about me either. Thanks for caring. Thanks for listening. And you can see a whole new honeymoon stage start in a relationship, but not that more shallow honeymoon that's just bow at the beginning of a relationship. There's the wisdom. There's look how far we've come together. Look at all we've been through. And still you are a mystery to me. Still, you are this curious, amazing, divine possibility. And it's a deeper love. And it's so fulfilling for me to see the reigniting of these relationships on this deeper, meaningful, heart-centered level.
Yeah, how empowering is that? And I would think that with the single people you're working with as well, when they're discovering their own inner true love, I mean, that must be so profound for them themselves.
Yeah, especially for those that have really been abused or used or cheated on or betrayed. and they've just really gone through the ringer. To date again is terrifying to be hurt again. And to date again means maybe dredging up those old wounds and hurting. So one foot's on the brake, but one foot's on the gas. And of course, that leads to another train wreck. So by coming home and feeling that oneness and forgiving the past and integrating the lessons so that the very worst has brought out the very best in them, and then date from this whole place, and then date in my dating app. Everybody that's on the app is also doing the intimacy training and also doing the live conscious connection calls every Friday, practicing meaningful connection. So everyone you're meeting on the app is willing to do the work, is doing the work. And so it's okay to be vulnerable. It's instant safety and alignment with people that are, up for personal growth. So dating all of a sudden, oh my God, becomes fun. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's about celebrating the process. And it makes life really joyful again.
Yeah, it sounds like such a great place to be. Allana, my goodness, we could talk all day. I really loved your book and what you're doing. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Oh, thank you so much. I've enjoyed it so much too. And the power of your listening, Marianne, allows me to share more. So I really acknowledge the depth of your presence. Thank you so much. So yes, people can join the dating app at heartmates.app. It's a year intimacy training and live conscious connection calls and a dating app to meet like-hearted people. All of my other resources can be found at my website, allanapratt.com. And I have 2 L's in Allana, ALLANAPRATT.com. All my books are there as well as on Amazon. And actually, I just yesterday launched another book, and it's called From Heartbreak to Heartmates: Love During Lockdown. So this one, Finding the One Is Bullshit, is there. Plus the latest one, lots of resources, lots of interviews, and even an intimacy blind spot assessment. We touched on that a little bit. So if you're interested to see what your blind spot may be, that resource is there as well. It's totally complimentary. And then lastly, my emails, I send out weekly inspirations. And that's when Allana gets really vulnerable. And I share the deep inner process of how I'm dating and how I'm dealing with life as well. So we're all in this together. I would love to have you in my world and love you on your journey.
Well, Allana, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. All my love to you and all the listeners.
Well, thank you, Allana. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Finding the One is BS. Becoming the One is Brilliant and Beautiful. Again, if you'd like to connect with Allana, you can at allanapratt.com for more information. Her books are also listed there on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And if you don't see it on the shelf, ask for them to order it. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.